Good afternoon. My name is Theo and I'm at the Business School at the Northwest-Universiteit, and we do regular YouTube interviews, and for the end of October, beginning of November, we will do four such recordings. So my first recording today is with Professor André Duvenhage, a well-known political analyst from the Northwest-Universiteit, and the whole discussion today is about all the developments surrounding the DA, the resignation of Musa Mamani, the election of a new leadership, the introduction, or the self-introduction almost of Helen Zille and everything that goes with that. André, welcome.
Thank you, Theo.
Tell me the story about the DA. We know what happened, and we will discuss the dynamics very soon, but where does it come from? Is this a long story, or was this a sudden thing?
I think you can take the history back even to the 90s, and I would like to differentiate among three paradigms within the Democratic Alliance. The first one under Tony Leon was liberal democratic, with elements of social democracy into it. Secondly, we had Helen Zille with a social democratic type of approach. And when Musa Mamani entered, he go the way social democratic towards ANC light. With ANC light, I refer to race classifications, type of B policies and B orientation. And it's interesting, about a year ago, there was a policy conference in the ANC, and they had to vote about a more conventional, liberal, democratic approach on the one side, or the B type of ANC light approach, and the latter one. And during the 2019 elections, only 4% of their support base coming from the black group, while about 300,000 votes were lost to the center-right, the majority going to the Freedom Front Plus. In short, the B policies didn't work. There were a reaction. This is ideological, and it impact on the leadership.
But Musa Mamani was a project of Helen Zille. She basically introduced him. She made him the leader. So what happened? Why would she return to the DA?
Well, I think the main thing in politics, it's about interest and not about friendships. And I think what happened there, in any strong political party, a leader would like to create his or her own identity. And Helen Zille had a strong identity within the DA. And Musa Mamani tried to create his own identity away from Zille. And it was interesting that he used the colonial tweets in a way to identify himself with a new direction. But the problem was the new direction didn't produce what was expected. And as a result of that, we had the whole investigation with Tony Leon, Ryan Coetzee, and it was very strongly advised that he must leave his position, so also other leadership. And immediately there was a race debate within the Democratic Alliance.
Of course, Trolle became part of that group, but he has been associated with Musa Mamani for a very long time. My question is really, is the DA not also a victim of Jacob Zuma? In other words, in 10 years, it was fairly easy for the DA to oppose all the wrongs that Jacob Zuma did. When Cyril Ramaphosa came, there was a change, there was a gears change, and the DA weren't ready for that. Am I on the right track?
You are 100% right. In a way, with the regime of Ramaphosa come into play, he worked towards the urban constituencies, while the Zuma support base were more traditional and towards other areas in terms of identity, the Premier's League, etc. And the DA didn't perform against Ramaphosa the way they performed against Jacob Zuma. And you can clearly see that in terms of by-elections. In that sense, the 2019 elections was a very negative outcome for the Democratic Alliance. And at the moment, they are repositioning themselves back towards the Zille, Tony Leon type of paradigm. And I'm expecting them to compete very strongly among the minority groups, looking at the whites and specifically the Afrikaans-speaking whites, the Indian community, and to a certain extent the so-called colored community.
Now, if we talk about the future, what happened now was that, let's say, that overlap between the ANC lights in the DA, the ANC lights in the DA and the ANC itself. That is now a vacuum. There's nothing there. And to use your terms, the DA would be right of center and the ANC would be left of center. Now, if the DA or the breakaway group, Musa Mamani and so on, if they want to establish a new party, there's some gossip about that, what are their survivability, their sustainability between these two political approaches?
I don't think you can explain this phenomenon by only looking at the Democratic Alliance itself. We need to look at the political spectrum. And I'm expecting major dynamics within the ANC within the next year or two. It is clear to me that there's a General Council meeting coming up, focusing on policy, and they may put a lot of pressure on Ramaphosa. We have the Zondo Commission implicating people responsible for corruption and nepotism.
So you see movement in the
ANC. I see movement,
as well, yeah.
Absolutely movement within the ANC, and even the possibility of some sort of a breakup. The SACP already indicate that they would like to go their own way. The same is applicable to the EFF with their own dynamics and leadership conference coming up. So I'm expecting a reorganization. And what I'm seeing is that the DA will probably keep a relative strong support base. Probably not 25, but in the order of 20% with a new leadership that's a bit more conservative, focusing on the minority groups. The problem with this new group, on its own, it's not going to function. It's only going to be another cope. And my take on it is, if they can realign, for example, with elements within the ANC, there's a possibility of survival. But on their own, not very strong.
André, in summary, the next big event is the local government elections in 2021 and then the next national election 2024. Do you see this process that you're explaining to pan out over the next year or 5, or what is your timelines on this?
No, the timeline is definitely 2021, and maybe if the ANC keep unity, we will see it the breakup around 2024. I am expecting the type of scenario where any party is going to find it difficult to get a 50% support. So coalition politics are on the cards, and I think we are going to see a lot of that. If we look at our electoral system, there's room for a diversity of parties. Not always good for stability, but I'm expecting more diversity. And if political parties, like the Freedom Front Plus, like the DA, like the New Party, like the conservative part within the ANC, take the right strategic decisions, they can position themselves very well for the 2021 elections. But when we come at 2024, I believe the ANC will be below 50.
André, thank you very much. And for those of you watching our YouTube videos, this is all about the political, the economic, the technological, and the environmental situation that businesses find themselves in. And today, you had a very good insight in the current political situation, focusing on one political party, but also expanding into the future of the South African political situation. Thank you very much.